What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Alex Wilson. And as we await the Andrew Thomas injury update, we're here to do another film breakdown for you guys on the channel today. Instead of talking about something putrid and nauseating like Evan Neal's pass blocking from week one, today we're going to talk about a lone bright spot, something positive from that New York Giants defeat against the Cowboys. I know that there was not many positives to draw from that game, but what we're about to break down, that's one of them. Deonte Banks looked stellar in this week one performance. The rookie first-round cornerback out of Maryland went into his first game, lined up against some damn good wide receivers, and absolutely held his own. He didn't let up a single reception. He had a nice pass breakup, two nice pass breakups, actually, and I thought that he played a damn good game and showed a lot of potential for the future. CB1 potential, some might say. As you all know, I love Deonte Banks. I thought that he was an excellent prospect coming out of the draft. He was the player that I wanted the New York Giants to draft, and I was over the moon when they landed him with the 24th overall pick in this year's draft. I saw plenty of CB1, even all-pro potential in the kid, and I think that if you watch through this film with us in this one, you're going to see that CB1 potential as well. So we're going to go ahead and dive into all that. But before we do, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. Comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, Alex, how are you doing today, my friend? And before we dive into the film, what are your impressions on this week one performance from Deonte Banks?
Well, I'm doing better. I've gotten over some of the, bad images in my head from that game, and I'm starting to have that short-term memory loss that I love so much as a Giants fan. But I'll tell you what, there were some silver linings, and finding them was difficult, to say the least. We had to really dive into the archives here to find any silver linings from this contest. But Deonte Banks, who played like 50% of snaps, he left early with a calf, or rather a cramp to, I think, his calf. He played well. And as a rookie, as a first-round rookie in his first NFL game, I know Dallas didn't throw the ball that often, but those rookie corners didn't really do that bad, specifically Banks. Now, Trey Hawkins had that big – if you erase that big pass interference that he actually walked away with a pretty good game, had like 7 tackles. He was active in the run game. They didn't really pick on him too much. And to be honest with you, that if you look really closely at that pass interference, it really was just Brandon Cooks doing a really good job. I mean, Brandon Cooks he had to speed up for that catch, and he actually slowed down, waited for Hawkins to make contact, and just took advantage of a young player. So, that's what you get when you have a savvy veteran like Brandon Cooks. You force those penalties. He knows how to get them. And Hawkins, while the actual contact was very minimal, the positioning from the referee's perspective was bad. So, I get why they called it. Do I agree with it from the angles that we got to see after? Of course not. But Banks, on the other hand, was solid. And I really am excited to dive into his film, because you're going to see a player that was just glued to his assignment on every single snap, whether it was helping the run game, whether it was, helping his fellow. He helped Xavier McKinney in the end zone and made a nice pass breakup. So he did a lot of good things, and I'm excited to kind of take a look at it, because it was one of the only reasons I walked away from that game like, okay, like at least somebody stepped up. At least somebody had a decent game aside from Dexter Lawrence. Even Micah McFadden actually stood out. He had a pretty solid game, led the team with 11 tackles and graded out as one of our best players on the defensive side, so and the offensive side. So, there were some small little glimmers of hope. Now we just need the whole team to have good games, not just individuals. So, I'm excited to dive into Banks and show you guys what he did in week one in his first NFL action.
100%. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the film. And now, breaking down this Deonte Banks film, one of the things that you'll see from this, he's not just a man coverage cornerback. I saw man and zone on this film. He was doing well here. Right here, you're seeing him in some man coverage, very quick to react to the wide receiver and stick with him. And then on this next play, kind of the same thing. This is the play where Adoree Jackson got a little bit lost here in the slot. And what I will say, Alex, and I know you have plenty to say on this topic in particular, Deonte Banks looked like he knew what he was doing on the outside. Adoree Jackson looked pretty lost on the inside. And I think that this is one of those plays where you could see that in full display, because you'll see here, they try to run a pick play here, and it comes away successfully for Dallas. They get a huge gain down the left sideline. Adoree Jackson completely lost trying to help on Deonte Banks, or really just not seeing this pick play coming. CeeDee Lamb with a huge gain up the left sideline. This is one you can't blame Banks for. I thought that he played well in coverage here, and Adoree Jackson just looks a little bit lost in that slot cornerback position.
Yeah, and a quick little shout out to Nick Filato for grabbing these clips for us. Appreciate you, man. Definitely doing the Lord's work out there, as we said yesterday. So, looking at Banks, you're going to see, like, early in the game, they kind of were taking advantage of Dory Jackson a lot in the slot because, it's a different world out there. He gets consumed, man. He gets absolutely destroyed, as those guys crossing over him. You need to be kind of a savvy veteran to be able to manage that. But the Dallas Cowboys, they went into this with a game plan and they said to themselves, yeah, like, look, we know Adoree Jackson and we know he's never played the slot position really before, and we also know they have two rookies on the outside. They didn't really throw the ball that often. Dak Prescott's numbers were underwhelming to say the least, but they didn't really need to because the defense was scoring for them at will. So looking at Banks, let's keep going here and see he kind of running, chasing this guy down. Let's see here, see what he does. Nice
Yeah, I
job
thought
trying to
that was a
jam.
great clip there to take a look at, because what you really want to see with a young cornerback on the outside here, they're on an island. It's man coverage here clearly, and what you need to see in this Wink Martindale defense in particular is how do they hold up in press coverage. Right here, he's in his face, he's trying to press, and you see a pretty good release here from the receiver, but Banks gets his hands on the receiver first, is very quick to throw him off his line, and then as the receiver tries to release outside, he's right on his hip. I thought this was a phenomenal rep right here from Deonte Banks. Again, like you said, shout out to Nick Filato for cutting this up and zooming in on this play in particular, because this is one where you can really see what Deonte Banks is made of. He's a physical, aggressive press man corner, and he shows it on this one, immediately getting his hands on the chest of the opposing receiver. And then as he releases outside, Deonte Banks is releasing right there with him.
So what I like about that play specifically, I'm just going to zoom back here, is that we actually saw him get beat like this during training camp a couple times going up against, some of our own receivers. And what I think he fixed here was that in the past, he actually would lean forward and try to be a little bit too over aggressive, and he would find himself off balance. The goal here is to throw the wide receiver off balance and stop this, shake, stop this release, and at least disrupt it a little bit so he can catch up. I like this because he's squared off and his legs are wide. His hips are fluid. He can go in either direction right here. But what I like him most about it is he's not leaning forward. He's only using his arms. Like you see, look, he's only using his arms to disrupt this release. He's not leaning forward. He's not off balance. He has a strong base. He has the ability to flip his hips and haul ass back if he needs to, which is exactly what happens because he gets around him here, tries to stack him, but he's on him the whole way. And that's really what you want to see from these rookie corners. Sometimes they get a little over aggressive, and those receivers, the second you lean forward, that yard right there, that's where you're able to make those, more physical kind of hands. You can be a little bit more physical with your hands. So I think that ultimately he stayed far enough away from him and he stayed leveraged. So that way, if he lost that little jam, that little hand fighting right there, if he lost that rep, he was able to recover. And he didn't lose that rep by any means because he had good balance. He had a good, ability to flip his hips and haul ass downfield if he needed to. And you're going to see this regularly throughout this film. When he does get beat, his makeup speed is some of the best I've seen on the Giants in quite some time. He is so freaking fast. And that is exactly what you want. And a cornerback like this, he can play zone, he can play man. And they're going to have him playing a lot of man this year, obviously, because it's Wink Martindale system. But when you watch him, when he loses those reps, when he gets a little bit over his toes and he's leaning forward, he's a little off balance, he's still capable of hauling ass back and catching up to receivers. You're going to see that against Michael Gallup on a play in a minute or two.
Yeah, and what you said there I really like is how athletic, Deonte Banks is. You highlighted that, and he has elite, freakish athleticism. He's one of the highest graded relative athletic scores of any cornerback in the past 10 years. But what I really loved about Deonte Banks on his Maryland film and what's going to show up on this play right here is his IQ. He's not just one of those freakishly athletic cornerbacks that's going to get by being a freak athlete. He's also a very smart, very intelligent football player. He reads offenses so well. He's great in coverage. He's constantly communicating. And when one corner or one safety doesn't see something, usually Deonte Banks sees it and is able to rotate and help like he does on this play. So you're going to see a phenomenal pass breakup here in the end zone. He's on man coverage in the flat, but sees the ball going to the over route and he's able to play it. Now that is so impressive because what Dallas is doing here is running a low to high read. They're trying to see who gets open, the flat route. And if the flat route doesn't get open, they're anticipating that the over route, this corner or this tight end running this corner route is going to get open against his own coverage. Instead, the Giants are in man here, but Deonte Banks, as soon as he sees that ball getting thrown, he breaks on it and he helps to break up this pass and makes just a phenomenal play on the ball. And what this also shows you is that Deonte Banks is not too wrapped up in trying to defend his man. He's also keeping his eyes in the backfield. He's doing two things at once here, kind of like a safety. He's playing in coverage, but he's also keeping his eye on the quarterback. As soon as that ball is thrown, he snaps, he reacts, and he makes a huge play here to help Xavier McKinney in the back of the end zone. So this is probably my favorite play on this film. I thought that this looked like an NFL veteran right here. This does not look like a rookie to me. So just an excellent play from Deonte Banks.
Yeah, you want to know what this looked like to me? I'll control it from here. I think that what this looks like to me, look where his eyes are the whole time. To me, this is good film work. This is something that they probably saw in film. Like, okay, we saw them do this last year. Like you said, this low to high read, he has the flats. They're trying to get that tight end over the top. I think that ultimately this is just good film because he knows number 3 is trying to draw him out of position so they can get that 1v1 matchup with a bigger tight end against a smaller defensive back in Xavier McKinney. And Banks is able to see like, all right, this guy is just running a flat route. He's trying to drag me out. He's using that peripheral vision. And look, good cornerbacks, that peripheral vision is everything sometimes. Being able to see exactly what's happening out of the corner eye, but also be able to focus on what's happening in front of you. He doesn't take his eyes off of Dak Prescott. He's on him the entire time because his job here is, okay, I'm covering the flat. If Dak Prescott's eyes fall to that low read, I'm on him like white on rice. But if his eyes stay to the back of the end zone, I know he's not going to that low read. So he's watching him like a hawk. I mean, look at him. His eyes, he's not looking at this flat route. He's looking at Dak Prescott. That's what I like about Deonte Banks here. Like you mentioned, high IQ. He is able to use that peripheral vision to make sure that flat guy is in range of where he needs to be so he can make a tackle or even try to make a play on an interception if need be. But what I like here the most is how he's so focused on where Dak is. And the second he gets hands on this low read, the second he sees, all right, I have this guy in my wheelhouse, he's not going to throw it there, I'm able to disengage and then go help my guy in the back of the end zone. They're trying to isolate Banks. But that vision there, man, you can't, like, that's instincts. That's just like being a good cornerback. That right there, as you mentioned, might be one of the best pieces of film on this actual clippage here. But there's another one in a minute that we're going to check out that I think may even be arguably better because it's him in alone in man coverage and the makeup speed is elite. But right here, excellent. You're going to see, right? Excellent vision. And then you're going to see the excellent athleticism. You pair that together, vision and athleticism, you're going to have a really damn good player for a long time. This is a really good play. Again, Dallas didn't throw the ball that much. He wasn't tested very often, but when he was tested, he was able to step up and make plays. And in this one, he may have saved a touchdown right here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it would have been a difficult catch for the Cowboys tight end, but it was makeable. And so I just think that Deonte Banks, excellent football IQ, as I mentioned earlier. I think that he is such a smart player. Right here on the goal line, man coverage, a drag route, very easy to get beaten on a play like this with a speedy receiver just running across the face of the line of scrimmage. But Banks is on his hip the entire time. He presses him, gives him a little nudge, throws him off his line, and then you can see hand on the hip the whole way. Textbook. That's exactly what you want to see. And another great clip here as well, breaks on it. And I love the aggression there, just that nudge, make sure that he can't catch the football, throw him to the ground. This is kind of one of those tricky situations. It's a bad throw by Dak Prescott, but even still, I think Banks was in a position to make a good play on the ball if it was more accurate. It's like you're in an off-man coverage. The number one thing that an offense wants to do there, just run a quick out. You're just going to run a quick out route and just throw it to the sideline and gain a few extra yards. But Banks has that makeup speed, as you're mentioning earlier. You're referring to it in more of a long, deep shot makeup speed, but it's also here. He can go from the back pedal immediately to break on the ball, and that's what you're seeing on this one. Again, this is a tough situation to be in, off-man coverage as a cornerback against a quick out route. To be able to make up that ground and get there, close in on that pass, it's not an easy thing to do, but he does an excellent job of breaking on the ball and helping to break up this pass and make sure it falls incomplete.
Yeah, like you said, that makeup speed isn't just only used for deep balls, which you're going to see on the play right after this, but it's also used on just breaking to the football in these shallower route concepts. They're just trying to get a little bit of yardage, maybe try to, get 4 or 5 yards, run the football, and then try to get a first down. But, that makeup speed is very legitimate, and it allows him to play a little bit deeper in coverage too. You don't always have to be pressing that off-ball coverage that you kind of indicated at. He's going to be able to do that a lot more because that makeup speed to actually jump those routes, jump that concept right there. Like, this is an incomplete pass. I mean, Dak has to get this ball out really fast because he knows, okay, Banks has elite speed. He's going to make up really quickly. He's a good tackler too. He supported the run really well in Maryland, and he's done so, during the short amount of time he played during preseason. But, Banks, you're seeing he can cover those short concepts, but also the long ones, which you're going to see in a second, just because of his elite speed. You pair that with good IQ. As I said, that equates to a really good player. And I think that what we saw in week 1, if he can compound on that in week 2 and the rest of the season, he's going to be our number 1 next year. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, I have the expectation that he will be the CB1 for the Giants. Again, I saw all pro potential with this kid when I watched the Maryland tape, and I'm seeing a lot of potential in this week 1 game. Now, this is the play that you're really excited about. Makeup speed here. He's not even ready. The ball is snapped, and he's still fixing his helmet. So how does he respond? How does he make up? Well, he makes up pretty well. Look at that long distance speed. The ball goes to the other sideline, but what a freaking recovery here from Deonte Banks, who was completely out of the play. He was not ready for the ball to be snapped. When the ball is snapped, you could see he's still just standing there fixing his helmet. And then he's able to really quickly respond. A little bit of hand fighting within the 5 yards. It's textbook press man coverage, and that's just one-on-one. Can he keep up with Michael Gallup? He does. And another thing here, and this is something that's really important to take note of. It's the squeeze to the boundary. Look at how little room up at the top of the screen Michael Gallup has. He's getting pushed towards the sideline, making this a 10 times more difficult catch. So inversely, Dak Prescott looks left, doesn't throw it because of how far Deonte Banks has pushed Michael Gallup to the sideline. He throws to the right hash, right sideline instead, because look at how much space is between the wide receiver and the boundary on that end with Trey Hawkins in coverage. So that's really the key here, and why this is such an impressive rep is because it's an outside release, but he doesn't get stacked, Deonte Banks. He's on top of the receiver the entire time. You're always trying to see, does the receiver get on top of the cornerback? Is he behind him? Is he stacked on top of him? On this rep, no, absolutely not. Michael Gallup is not able to get behind Banks. Banks has too much speed, and he has too much of a squeeze to the sideline capability here. Just pushes him into the sideline and leaves no window for Dak Prescott to throw in. So this is one of those plays that really does stand out. Again, this is what you need to see in a press man coverage corner. It's a perfect rep here from Deonte Banks, even though he wasn't ready for the ball to be snapped.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is when you're looking at a player of this caliber, it really is exciting. I don't even think this is the play I was indicating, actually. I think there's another one here that we're missing. So this is, by the way, this is the Trey Hawkins interception. I wanted to kind of reference this because, you actually look at this play. This ball was way over Brandon Cooks' head. I mean, look how much he slows down here. He positions himself so well for this flag. This ball ended up falling way over his head. He slows down to draw that contact in. Very, very good learning moment for Hawkins there, because obviously I think that could have gone better if he knew, like, all right, got to stay away. I know he's going to try and bait me into this. This is the play I think, yeah, okay, so this is the one where he may... No, it's not. Okay. There's one deep ball I'm looking for here that we will get to in a second. Let's find it. Not here. He's just traveling on the other side. Let's see. Yep.
I just think what I'm pulling away from these clips, though, that are just coming through quickly, is that he really does a great hit there from Trey Hawkins.
Yeah, great. This is it.
This is the play I think you're referring to. Really quickly, he makes up for a beat on the line of scrimmage.
No, it's not. I think that's how late this game is.
We'll find your play eventually, but I'm just saying, pointing out to all these clips. Okay, this one I want to take another look at, though, because this is, again, when you're talking about squeezing the wide receiver to the sideline, making sure that there's no window to throw into, this is what you're seeing once again here. It's within 5 yards, pushes him up to the boundary, and look at that. He nearly pushes him out of bounds. That's deleting a receiver. As soon as that receiver goes out of bounds, you can't throw the ball his way. It's illegal touching. So when you're getting pressed so hard that you're ending up out of bounds, I mean, what more could you ask for from a press man cornerback? Okay, that must be the play that you were referring to.
This is the one.
He does get beat off the line of scrimmage, and he does make up for it. So I'll let you break this one down quickly.
All right. So, yeah, like I said, obviously getting beat right off the line of scrimmage here, but the makeup speed. This is the deep ball. I mean, look, he's like stumbling over himself right now. But look at the awareness that he has. When Michael Gallup makes this catch, goes up, makes his catch right at his back shoulder. It's a perfectly placed ball. Right here, he's in the air. Look at Deonte Banks. The only choice he has is, I got to get this guy out of bounds so that way he is not in, so that he can't get his 2 feet in. This is the only way this isn't a long completion. He lifts him up and then pushes him out of bounds. And that's just as good awareness, knowing where the sideline is, knowing exactly where to be in that moment, the makeup speed, being in a good position. That was the long ball that you see. He's like tripping over himself right here. Watch him. And right here, he's tripping and catches up, makes a nice play, pushes him out of bounds. And he actually, I think he leaves the game right after, like maybe 2 plays after this because of the cramping. You can see he kind of like gets up and he's like, I like my foot a little bit. Like right there, you see his little leg kind of hang behind. But this is where you want to see, man. He can cover those short concepts. He can cover the long concepts. Got a good IQ, good eyes. Always had eyes on the quarterback in the red zone, covering the flats. Good hands, good balance. He wasn't even ready on that. It's just, it just is only going to get better as long as he can as long as he can stay healthy. I want to see him go against some really good receivers this year because I think it'll really open up his wheelhouse and give us something to work off of. You know what I mean? Like Michael Gallup, he's okay. He's not great. So like he's a good, not great player. I'd love to see Banks get some opportunities against some top receivers this season.
Yeah, and he will get some opportunities. The Giants have a bunch of good receivers on the schedule this year. I mean, of course, we know that when we get over to those Philly games, we got to go up against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. He's going to have to match up against both of those guys at one point or another. Washington, for what it's worth, also has a pair of good receivers. There's a lot of good receivers in this division. And even outside of it, once we get over to the 49ers game in just 2 weeks here, Deonte Banks is going to have a test going up against both Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So there's a lot of good receivers on the schedule this year for the Giants. But quickly, I just want to say again, on this play, yes, he gets beat at the line of scrimmage. Maybe you could say that his press here was a little bit too over aggressive, as you mentioned earlier, Alex. I think it's a quick outside release from the receiver, but just the awareness to get him out of bounds mid-catch, to know where the sideline is here. This is when we think back to the days of Eli Apple and the Giants having Eli Apple, that first-round rookie cornerback who, yes, had athleticism, looked like he could be a good player out of college, but just couldn't get his head turned around, had no awareness of where he was on the football field. This is the complete polar opposite. This is a high IQ cornerback that knows where he is, knows where the football is, and knows how to make the play at the catch point. So Deonte Banks making the play at the catch point here, as he has throughout pretty much all of the clips in this film. And again, I don't want to overblow it. It's a week 1 performance from a rookie. I'm not saying that he's an all-pro just yet, but the potential is there. And I've always said that about Deonte Banks. And yes, he left this game with cramps, didn't get to play through the full thing, but expectation is he's completely healthy next week. And I expect him to go out there and have another really solid performance. So I think that breaks down the film, but let's go ahead and discuss some more. So that pretty much breaks down the film on Deonte Banks' week 1 performance. Like I said, I see so much potential in this kid. This was a home run draft pick, in my opinion, when the Giants made it. And so far through 1 week, looks like I was right about that. And looks like a lot of Giants fans that were excited about it were right about that, because Deonte Banks, against a really good Dallas offense, showed a lot of potential on this film. Had a pass breakup, maybe 2. 3. I think there's 3 pass breakups in there, and was really tight in his coverage throughout the game. He got tried a few times. Like, the ball was thrown his way a number of times, but Banks, tight coverage, squeezing those receivers to the sideline, breaking up some passes, showing great ability in man coverage and press coverage as well. So just a lot to like here with Deonte Banks and what we saw in his week 1 performance. But it's a long rookie season. Let's see how he continues. I'm sure there will be rookie growing pains along the way. It's very rare that you find yourself a Sauce Gardner who just comes onto the scene in year 1 and is an all-pro. But with Deonte Banks, the potential is there, as I said. And I'm really impressed by this week 1 performance, and I'm thrilled to watch him in week 2 go up against a lesser opponent in Arizona. They don't have this kind of receiving core that Dallas has. It's less talent that he's going to be facing this next week. So I'm excited to see if he does shut down those receivers and turn in another impressive performance, because for a cornerback, once you start to build those good performances in succession, they compound on one another. You only get better. You get more confident. And Deonte Banks is playing with confidence right now. I'm excited to see him continue to do so next week, and so on and so forth. So that pretty much breaks down all the film on Deonte Banks. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. And comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And go ahead and follow us on all of our social media channels at Fireside Giants. But without further ado, we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.